Hello and welcome to another episode of the International Agenda presented by the PJ Show. As always, I'm your host, Aidan Barry. Let's get straight into tonight's episode. On tonight's episode of the International Agenda, we will be having one final look at the playoff races for the NHL and the NBA. We also have some motorsport. F1 and MotoGP have been in action. Recently, there's also been some news out of the F1 world with some driver swaps for Red Bull, as well as some reserves swapping for Haas and Alpine. We will also be looking at the Masters Golf Tournament at Augusta that's happening this weekend. And as always, we will be looking forward to upcoming event on the program.
Pulls up, three-pointer, bang!
We will begin the show with some NBA coverage, and we will show the lead up to the playoffs. Teams are guaranteeing positions quite rapidly now. The East Conference, every single team in the Eastern Conference is either guaranteed of the playoff or a play-in spot, apart from those who are obviously eliminated at this point, who we'll get to as well. But we'll go down the list. We won't go game by game, but clinching conference in the East, we have Cleveland 63 wins at 797%. So they probably are going to project to win 64 or 65 games come the end of the year. They still have 4 or 5 to play. In second in the East, Boston on 59 wins. In third, New York on 50 wins. In fourth, Indiana on 48 wins. In fifth, Milwaukee on 45 wins. In sixth, Detroit on 53 wins. Now, all of those teams are pretty much guaranteed of being in the playoff in the top 6 outright, and I don't think anything can change based on the order of play, because Orlando, who are the top playing team, only have 2 games to go. So we'll get straight into the Eastern play-in. So the Eastern play-in, starting from Orlando in 7th. So they won the division. So in the East is very strong that a division winner is only guaranteed a play-in. I don't know if the NBA is going to look at that and say that now maybe the top 3 seeds automatically go to the division winners, but that's something we can discuss further down the road. The NBA probably does need to look at, because Orlando playing 82 games to win a division and then not even getting into the playoffs outright, having to go through the play-in, it just doesn't sit well with me. But we will go down. So Atlanta are in 8th place, 37 wins. Chicago are in 9th on 37 wins, and in 10th place is Miami on 36 wins. Now, the teams with 37 wins and 36 wins, they can flip depending on the order of games and the results in those games in the remainder of the season. So teams in the Eastern Conference missing out are Toronto, Brooklyn, Philadelphia, Charlotte, and Washington. Now, while we are on the Eastern Conference, I want to point out just one little thing. There's every single team in the Central has qualified for at least the play-in. So, in the Central Division, we have Cleveland as the league clinching team in the East. Indy at the 4 seed, Milwaukee at the 5 seed, Detroit at the 6 seed. And then as the play-in team, we have Chicago as the 9 seed. Again, they could flip and go higher or lower depending on remaining games. We will now get straight into the Western Conference, and then we will have a look at how the matchups could shake out going forward. So the Western Conference still very, very, very close. So in the West, we know that Oklahoma City are clinching conference with 66 wins. They have a win percentage of 825%. In second and clinching second is Houston with 52 wins. In third, also clinching playoff, is the Los Angeles Lakers with 49 wins. Now, this is where it does get a little murky in the Western Conference. 4 through 8 can all qualify still for the playoffs. Remembering this has been recorded on the night of the 10th of April, Thursday the 10th of April, my local time. So in 4th we have Denver, 5th we have the Clippers, 6th we have Memphis, 7th we have Golden State, and 8th we have the Minnesota Timberwolves. Also in the play-in, in 9th is Sacramento Kings, and 10th are the Dallas Mavericks, surviving a late scare, holding off Phoenix from Portland, who are the top of our eliminated teams in the Western Conference, both 31 games back of Oklahoma City and 3 games out of the play-in from Dallas in 10th. We then lose also San Antonio, New Orleans, and Utah. So we will now have a look at how things could shake out in the West. So based on games to go, this could shake out a number of different ways. There are so many permutations, but the Warriors definitely could sneak in. Minnesota definitely could sneak in. The Clippers definitely could fall out. Denver could fall out. Denver at the moment are probably projected to fall out. They have just fired their coach as well, unexpectedly, before the playoffs begin. So that's something to watch there in Denver. So they could fall out, but I think Golden State will slide up. I think the Clippers should hold. So I think Golden State slides up. And I think we have Memphis and Minnesota in the West playing. We're going to stay with the West, and we're going to have a play with some numbers. So we're going to just say the teams in 1, 3, 8 play each other in the first round. So first game on the docket is Oklahoma versus Minnesota as the first best of 7 series we have. I would put that as Oklahoma winning in 5. Second up, we have Houston versus Golden State, and I'm going to say Golden State takes that in 6. Third, we have the Lakers versus Memphis. Los Angeles will win that in 5. Between the 4 and 5 seed game, Denver versus the Los Angeles Clippers, I have Denver taking that in 6. We will now go and play with the Eastern Conference, same as the Bulls apply for the West. So any teams ranked 1 through 8 will be the teams in the playoffs. So we start with Cleveland versus Atlanta, and we have Cleveland going over in 5 in that one. Then we have Boston versus Orlando, and Boston are going to sweep the Magic in that one. So Boston sweep the Magic. Third versus 6, we have New York and Detroit. I think New York takes it in 5. And then we have the 4 and the 5 seed games between Indiana and Milwaukee. And I think that the Bucks will get up and they will take it in 7. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is your look at how things are shaking out in both the East and Western conferences on the lead up to the play-in and playoffs, and some early predictions using, as I said, all those teams ranked currently 1 through 8 in their conference standing. We are now going to move on to the NHL, and we are going to do the exact same thing. We'll now have a look at the final playoff predictions for conference play and league play in the NHL. So we will start, as always, in the Eastern Conference in the Met. So in the Metro Division, we have the Washington Capitals taking the division. They have played 77 and they have 107 points. Remembering in the NHL, points are 2 points for a win, 1 point for a loss in a overtime or shootout, and 0 points for a loss in regulation. And it is a points-based system in the NHL. Also coming out of the Met, we have Carolina and the New Jersey Devils. So some very strong teams there coming out of the Metro Division. I think that the Capitals will be a strong team in the playoffs. I think Carolina will be around for a lot longer than people expect of them too. So, and New Jersey, again, going to be a tough team to stick around with. We'll go down to the Atlantic, who also have all those teams locked away. It's going to be the Maple Leafs leading the Atlantic. They haven't locked it down yet. They have 100 points. The Lightning are chasing them. They have 97 points, 4 games in hand for them, and the Panthers. Well, the Florida Panthers can also have a look at it at 94 points at this time. So, again, very strong division in the Atlantic this year. So, Maple Leafs, always a tough team. Lightning, very good, and the Florida Panthers as well. They are the current team who are the reigning defending. So, it is going to be a very, very tough Eastern Conference coming out of both the Met and the Atlantic from the NHL. We'll go to the Eastern Conference wildcard, where we have one team guaranteed of play-in position, which is the Ottawa Senators on 90 points. They are going to be a wildcard team in the Eastern Conference. Still in play in the East, we have, and most likely, one more point for the Habs, and they will become the second team in the Eastern Conference wildcard position. So they're on 87 points, and they're being chased down by a block of teams on 79 points. But with some have 5 games to go, some have 4 games to go. But again, another point or another win for the Habs, and they are pretty much going to be guaranteed. Well, they will be guaranteed that second Eastern Conference wildcard position. We'll now go straight down into the Western Conference, where things again are locked away. We still don't know the order of how things will shake out, but we'll go to the Central, where we have 3 teams finishing on a minimum of triple figures in point in a single division. That is the Central. It is led by the Winnipeg Jets on 110 points. In second place, the Dallas Stars on 106 points. And in third place, Colorado Avalanche on 100 points. So 3 teams in that division will finish on 100 points. Those are 3 very, very strong teams that have got that pedigree to go all the way. I think Dallas, again, a very strong team. They starting to show their hand last year. Colorado, always going to be up in the fixtures come playoff time. And Winnipeg, they've built their roster really well, and they are deservedly leading the Central and going probably to look like, with 4 games to go for them, look like they're going to take out the Central. In the Pacific Division, we have 2 of the 3 teams guaranteed. The Vegas Golden Knights are in. They are on 103 points. Also in are the Los Angeles Kings on 97 points. Currently sitting in third are the Edmonton Oilers on 93 points. So again, Vegas had one of the newer expansion teams in. Very strong team. They have been since the year they came into the NHL. And as well, the Los Angeles Kings, again, a big market team. We expect them to be good every year. They are good this year. They're going to be dangerous. Edmonton, let's say they do get into a top 3 spot. Good on them. They will be there. And they will be playing in the playoffs as things stand. They do look like they need to hold their position on 93 points because the Central is wild right now. So the 2 teams currently sitting in play for the Western Wild Card are the Minnesota Wild on 93 points and the St. Louis Blues on 93 points. So they will be the wild card teams. I can't see the Flames catching Edmonton. So let's go with Edmonton. They've played 77 games. They only need to win 4 more points to guarantee themselves a playoff spot. And then we have the 2 wild cards coming out of that very, very strong Central this year in the Wild and the Blues. So I think the Central will be a division in total to watch out for come playoff time. All very strong teams in that division. Unfortunately, because we haven't got every position covered, we won't be going through the teams seed by seed in the playoffs. We can do that at a later date and in an extra episode, which will be coming up on the international agenda once things are finalised. Now we will get into some golf because the Masters tournament is on this coming weekend and I'll give you my predictions for that event. The Masters is on this coming weekend at Augusta National. It is the biggest golf tournament in the world. It is a course not for the faint-hearted. It is a course that is revered and feared by many of the world's greatest and local club golfers as well. But I'm here to tell you everything about who I think could win this prestigious event, and I will give you 5 names right now who I think could win the Masters. We're going to start with Scottie Scheffler. Again, world number 1, most recent Masters winner. Very, very, very strong player on his day. The new modern day guy to beat, and he's a very good player even when he's not on form, so he is going to be dangerous all 4 days down at Augusta. I also going to give a shout to Jon Rahm as my second favourite to win a Masters. I think that he again is a very, very good player and someone who I think, is someone who, he has won a Masters tournament before, and I think that again, this could be a year where he starts to shine. I know this is a year where, live players are starting to come back into the majors, with exceptions and invitations, such as, DJ, Phil Mickelson, those guys. And I think Jon Rahm definitely shakes up with those guys and could definitely win a Masters tournament. And it could be this year's. Third person I am going to mention is somebody who is not on the list of previous Masters winners. And that is going to be Rory McIlroy. This is the one tournament that has eluded him his whole time, his whole career. He has not been able to win the Masters at Augusta National. This could be his year. He's in very good form. He's playing a lot more regularly on the tour. We see him a lot more often, so his form is building. His playing is getting better every week. He's just come off finishing the year with TGL, the Tomorrow Golf League that he co-runs with Tiger Woods, and I think that Rory McIlroy could be the winner of this year's Masters based on form alone. We're going to go to my final 2 spots are going to be other champions, players who have run other tournaments in recent times. And I'm going to go first of all with Wyndham Clark. Wyndham Clark, who won a US Open recently. Definitely someone who's coming up the rankings quite quickly and quite strongly again. These are players who I think are playing their best golf at the right time of year. Masters season is a good time to be playing your absolute best golf. And for someone like Wyndham Clark to win a Masters would be, it would feel right to be him. If it's not going to be one of the big names, I just feel like him having a Masters this year, it just feels right. So he's my feel-good winner of the Masters. And we're also going to have a look at, for the Australians, we're going to go on criteria 3 coming in. I know he is a live player. It is Cam Smith, the Australian and former champion golfer of the year, winning the UK Open. Again, this is a young guy, a great golfer. Definitely could really look to add a Masters. Definitely, I feel like he could add a Masters to his tally this year. This could be another good year for the Australians in golf. So I am going to pull for Cam Smith to win the Masters as my 5th pick. We'll see how it shakes out. I will have all the tournament coverage for you in the next episode, and let's see if I get any of my 5 right. We will now move on to some motorsports. We will start our motorsports coverage with the Grand Prix of the Americas in the MotoGP, the senior class of motorcycle racing under the MotoGP banner. And this was at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, a very tough track. Doesn't matter if it's 2 wheels or 4. Everyone says it's a tough track, but it's definitely an enjoyable track to watch as well. I did actually get to watch this race, and I was very, very impressed with these. The way these riders handled their bike during the race. So what happened was that the race was being led quite, well, not comfortably, but good position from Marc Marquez, and he was doing well. He'd won the sprint as well earlier on the weekend, and then inexplicably he just crashed out of the race and left to dust, leaving the winner of the race to be Pecco Bagnaia, and well, it's still a win for that Ducati team, but Pecco Bagnaia picking up his first win of the year. Going down the order, we have Alex Marquez in 2nd, Fabio Di Giannantonio in 3rd, Franco Morbidelli in 4th, Jack Miller in 5th as your top 5. Then we have Bezzecchi, Bastianini, and Marini, the top 8, Agura 9, Quartararo 10, Rins 11th, Rui Fernandez in 12th. And then the other Fernandez brother in 13th, Maverick Vinales in 14th. And that is the top 14 for the Circuit of the Americas GP, Grand Prix of the Americas, as it is called in MotoGP. We'll now get into some Formula 1, and we have the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka Circuit over the weekend just gone. And we will have some more F1 coming up as well. We have Bahrain this weekend, followed by Saudi next weekend. But it will be Japan we're talking about. So the race was won there by Max Verstappen for Red Bull. So Red Bull getting a win, getting on the board this year. And I'm going to talk about them in a minute. We'll go down the running order for this race. So Max winning from Lando by 1.4 seconds. Oscar at 2 seconds in 3rd. Then we have a big gap to Charles Leclerc in 4th. George Russell 5th. Kimi Antonelli in 6th. Hamilton 7th. Hadjar 8th. Albon 9th. Behrman 10th. That is your top 10 for the Japanese Grand Prix. The other Red Bull driver was Yuki Tsunoda, so they did switch from Liam Lawson to Yuki Tsunoda as Yuki went to the senior team and had a disappointing qualifying. He went with a high downforce setup where Max went with low and most of the grid went with low, and it cost Yuki. And so bad qualifying, and then couldn't really cover it in the race. But Red Bull are saying that they want to keep Yuki in the Red Bull car for the rest of the season. We also have another driver switch, and it's a reserve driver going from the Alpine F1 team to Haas, as Ryo Hirakawa has officially signed on as Haas's reserve driver. He was one of a pool of Alpine reserve drivers for the season and had a very, very strong outing for them in FP1, replacing Jack Doohan, and had the opportunity to drive that car and impress the Haas reps enough where they wanted him to come into their team as their reserve driver. And Haas, having that good partnership with Toyota Gazoo Racing, were able to take that offer up and have him come back, as he is affiliated with Toyota and has driven for Toyota in other series and other classes. That is everything I have for you on this episode of the International Agenda presented by the BJ Show. Before I go, I would like to congratulate the Florida Gators on winning the national championship, coming from behind Houston Cougars' 12-point lead at some point in that second half, and Florida chased them down and got the title for Gatorland. And I will cover the NBA draft as that comes up. I will be covering the NFL draft very soon as that comes up in the coming week. And the big news, the big chase is over. Alexander Ovechkin of the Washington Capitals putting in goal 895 against the New York Islanders, as that was the Caps' only goal in that game. So well done to the Gators, well done to Ovechkin, well done to the Washington Capitals. But that is it for another episode of the International Agenda. I've been your host, Aidan Barry, signing off, and thank you for listening.